This is Mac OS Ken.
iPhone pulls the smartphone market up, happenings in various app stores, and Apple Music Radio breaks out of Apple Music. It is Thursday, the 28th of August, 2025. I'm Ken Ray, and this is news from Mac OS Ken, brought to you by yours truly and sponsored by the Insta360 Go Ultra, a tiny, hands-free 4K camera. Go Ultra today at store.insta360.com with promo code MacOSKen. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/MacOSKen. IDC has raised its expectations for global smartphone shipments in 2025. In a press release on Wednesday, the market tracker and apparent prognosticator upped anticipated shipment growth from a previous forecast of 0.6% to 1.0%. Was this driven by foldables, by AI-powered handsets? Actually, ID says it was driven by 3.9% growth in iOS this year. Well, how could that be? Those don't fold, and their AI sucks. Despite challenges like soft demand and a tough economy, IDC says healthy replacement demand will help push growth into 2026, resulting in a compound annual growth rate of 1.5% from 2024 to 2029. Despite iOS dragging the market up this year, IDC thinks a lot of the growth through 2029 will be thanks to AI and foldables. On the AI front, the firm has IDC Research Director Anthony Scarcella saying, as the number of use cases expands and consumer education increases, we expect on-device generative AI capabilities to be incorporated into more mid-range devices, making them a standard must-have feature sooner rather than later, boosting generative AI share to over 70% by 2029. Folding that in with foldables, the release has IDC VP Client Devices Francisco Geronimo saying, the hardware and software advancements and recent foldable launches from leading vendors such as Samsung, Google, Motorola, Honor, and Huawei signal that the foldable category is rapidly maturing and knocking down the barriers that have prevented mainstream adoption. He and his expect growth in foldables of 6% this year. That'll be followed by another 6% next year and 11% the year after that, leading to a world-beating less than 3% of total smartphone shipments by 2029. Are we sure we believe in the foldable iPhone? I still got my doubts. Something strange is going on with the torrent app in the EU's AltStore PAL alternative app marketplace. Mac Rumors says Apple has killed access to the app iTorrent for the App Store outside the App Store. While Apple can't totally control what goes into AltStore, Mac Rumors says the company does run a notarization process that gives it some control over non-App Store applications. Apple's support doc on that process says notarization for iOS and iPadOS apps is a baseline review that applies to all applications regardless of their distribution channel, focused on platform policies for security and privacy, and to maintain device integrity. Through a combination of automated checks and human review, Apple says notarization helps ensure apps are free of known malware, viruses, or other security threats, function as promised, and don't expose users to egregious fraud. So iTorrent ran afoul of that? Yeah, nobody knows but Apple, and Apple's not saying. Not yet, anyway. The developer behind iTorrent says Apple didn't give a reason its distribution rights were revoked. They'd like more information. AltStore would like more information. And in kind of a weird twist, Apple seems to want more information too. Reached for comment, Mac Rumor says Apple gave a sort of boilerplate response. The company later said that the escalation team is investigating the issue, according to the report. See, stuff like this would never happen on Android, except for the part where it's apparently about to start happening more on Android. 9to5Mac cites a report that has the sort of search giant, sort of ad warehouse, sort of AI nightmare doing a sort of notarization thing. According to a piece from 9to5 Google, to combat malware and financial scams, Google announced this week that only apps from developers that have undergone verification can be installed on certified Android devices starting in 2026. 9to5Mac says this requirement applies to certified Android devices that have Play Protect and are preloaded with Google Apps. The Play Store implemented similar requirements in 2023, according to the piece, but Google is now mandating this for all install methods, including third-party app stores and sideloading, where you download an Android installation file from a third-party source. Columbia plans to keep on eyeing Apple's App Store. 9to5Mac says Columbia's Superintendency of Industry and Commerce has formally announced an investigation that may require Apple to change some of its App Store ways in the country. Bigger fonts, brighter colors. Nah. After a preliminary investigation that started last year, authorities are said to have found Apple in violation of a 1992 decree concerning the obstruction of third parties' access to markets and/or distribution channels. Columbia's Office for Competition Protection says prohibiting third-party app stores for iPhone and iPad restricted the access of new participants in the digital application distribution market for those devices. They're also not cool with Apple requiring developers to use the Cupertino company's in-app payment solution. They'd like alternative payment methods to have a shot. So up the chain it goes. The investigation is now in the hands of the aforementioned Superintendency of Industry and Commerce. That branch of regulators has reaffirmed its commitment to free competition, to the market, and to consumers, according to 9to5Mac. No details on what happens next. More news in a moment, but first a word from today's sponsor, Insta360, and their brand new Go Ultra, a tiny, hands-free 4K camera. We have talked all week about how small and light the Go Ultra is. Weighs a few ounces, about the size of an Oreo, yet shoots 4K video at 60 frames per second, delivering great images in daylight or low-light settings. So how much storage does the Go Ultra hold? How many SD cards can you hold? You don't have to worry about transferring files if you run out of space in the middle of shooting. Pop out your SD card, pop in a new one, and get back to shooting in seconds. With Go Ultra's built-in magnetic mounting system, you'll get shots even your iPhone would have trouble getting. It is a palm-sized 4K powerhouse. If you're ready to go Ultra, head to store.insta360.com to check it out. Then the first 30 people to buy using promo code macOS can get a free set of sticky tabs. They let you mount Go Ultra where magnets won't do the job. The first 30 people get a free set with your Go Ultra purchase at store.insta360.com using promo code macOSCAN. Show the world what you see the way you see it. Get the Insta360 Go Ultra at store.insta360.com and use promo code macOSCAN. Apple Music's live radio stations are reaching out past Apple Music. The live audio service TuneIn issued a press release Wednesday saying that all 6 of the Cupertino audio streamer's commercial-free live radio stations were up on TuneIn. That jacks Apple stations into TuneIn's 200-plus connected device partnerships, including smart speakers, headphones, and over 15 automotive brands, according to the release. Additionally, the Apple Music stations Apple Music One, Hits, Country, Musica Uno, Club, and Chill will be available globally through the TuneIn app, as well as the website TuneIn.com. All told, the service has its accessed by more than 75 million active users per month. Obviously, this signals disaster for Apple, if you read the Wall Street Journal. Apple makes music push in radio after losing ground to Spotify, reads the Journal headline, though the text isn't quite as dire sounding. The piece points out that a lot of people who subscribe to Apple Music find their way in through free trial deals after they buy a new device. The way the Journal sees it, the tie-up with TuneIn is meant to convert Apple Music's radio listeners into paying subscribers to its music service, which has fallen further behind Spotify in recent years. Yeah, about that part. The report cites findings from the research and tracking firm Media that show Apple Music's share of digital music subscribers falling over the past few years, while Spotify's share has risen. In 2020, according to Media, Apple's share of music subscriptions in the U.S. stood at 30% to Spotify's 31%. By the end of 2024, the Apple Music share was down to 25% to Spotify's 37%. Similarly, Apple's share is said to have fallen globally from 16% in 2020 to 12% by the end of last year. See, I would be curious to know actual numbers on all of that. Like, how big was the pie in 2020 versus the end of 2024? If the number of people subscribing to music streaming services has gotten bigger, and it almost undoubtedly has, Apple Music could have grown the number of subscribers significantly, even while losing market share. Of course, one would rather grow both. Could be argued that Spotify gave itself an advantage by having an ad-supported or no-cost tier, an idea from which Apple has shied away. That makes the TuneIn tie-up make sense for Apple. It gets to whet listener appetites at no cost to the listener. Meanwhile, TuneIn's CEO indicates that it works for his company as well. The Journal had the exec highlighting the good listener experience offered by the Apple Music stations. Plus, no commercials. And finally today, Apple TV Plus has outed a trailer for an upcoming romantic drama. The Cupertino streamer issued a press release promoting the upcoming film, All of You. Starring Imogen Poots and Ted Lasso's own Brett Goldstein, the release says the two play best friends since college who drift apart when she takes a test to find her soulmate despite years of unspoken feelings between them. Over the years, as their paths cross and diverge, neither can deny the feeling that they've missed out on a life together. Faced with the uncertainty of changing the course of their lives, are they willing to risk everything to experience the love that had been between them all along, or should they accept their fate? Sounds like Fingernails meets The Bridges of Madison County. The film was co-written by Goldstein and Black Mirror's William Bridges. The latter is actually making his directorial debut with this film. Straight to streaming for this one, it seems. All of us can see All of You on Apple TV Plus on Friday, the 26th of September. macOS Ken, brought to you by me, and sponsored by Insta360's Go Ultra. Go Ultra today at store.insta360.com with promo code macOS Ken. This show is also supported by people like you, patrons through Patreon. Find out more and add your support at patreon.com/macOSKen. Advertising handled by Backbeat Media, online at backbeatmedia.com. You can find me on Mastodon, macOSKen at mastodon.social. You can also send me an email, info@macosken.com. Until next time, that is news from macOS Ken. I'm Ken Ray.
Leonard likes this post.